Hi folks, Six Slices here. Now, I know a lot of you watch my channel for my Sheffield knives and particularly obviously my Taylor's Eye Witness knives, and a lot of the time people look at Taylor's Eye Witness and think of Barlow's, but they make a number of other patterns, and a couple of the ones that I like are their twin blade pen knives, which are actually very good everyday carry knives in the UK. But I've got some that are everyday, and I've got some that are quite posh. Now I do have an older Taylor's Eye Witness penknife, and this has a number of features that make it kind of unique in my collection. And the first one being that it has a clip point blade on a penknife, and a sort of equal end penknife. It also has the Taylor's Eye Witness stamped into the blade. It's a thing I always appreciate. I like a stamped blade. Not so sure about etched blades, but a good stamped blade, because they do tend to last quite well. I mean, this is quite an old knife, and yet you can still see quite clearly the stamp, the Taylor's, the picture of the all-seeing eye, and the witness was Taylor's knife witness. Also, I think it's the only one of my Taylor's knives that's got a shield, but it's double bolstered and it's got a pen blade at the other end as well, so it's a very nice little knife. Now, the other sort of pen knife that I have a couple of is quite a traditional equal end pen knife with a large pen blade and a small pen blade. Nice bit of file work on the back and milling on the liners, which again is something that's relatively rare in my collection of Taylor's knives. Most of them are not milled. Now, I remember Stan Shaw calling these a pen blade and a pocket blade, but I think in this case they're really more a case of a small pen blade and a tiny pen blade, but they are a nice little very small pocket carry. And I believe Jane at the famous Sheffield shop carries one of these herself. She told me that when I bought this one, so was she just trying to sell it? I don't know. No, I wanted to buy it, so it wasn't really a question of salesmanship involved. But then it's got the Eyewitness stamp on the tang. And on the other end too. Now, note which way these are up. The normal way, see, if you hold it by the handle and point the blade upwards, the writing is the right way up, and the same at this end. Just bear that in mind for where we go in a minute. But before we go on, the other one of those, only two of these pattern, but the other one I have is this one. I'll just move some of these out of the way a bit because they're causing my focus to drop. So this one here is an Amboina burr. Again, it's got the file work and the milling, and it's got exactly the same blades, which incidentally the file work on this one does go just into the blades. I think it's a bit clearer in the blades on this one. Anyway, this Amboina burr is the one that my wife likes. She really likes this, the covers on this knife, and I don't blame her. But this is one of those ones that sat on the Bakewell Cookshop's website for a long time, and nobody showed much love for it, and I eventually bought it. I suspect that's because, despite the fact it's a tiny knife with tiny blades, being a twin blade knife with file work back and so forth, it was still relatively expensive. I think it'll be a lot more expensive now, mind. So I'll put these ones we've seen, I'll put them out of the way, and we'll just come back to this last little lot here. Now these four are all the same pattern, and effectively they are the original sort of Wharncliffe pattern of knife. Now I haven't got an original Joseph Rogers Wharncliffe of 1830 or whatever. I don't have one, so I can't do a direct comparison, but as far as I can see from the pattern books, this is as close as you're going to get to the original Rogers design. Now I like this knife. It's a good size knife. It's small enough to put in your pocket. It's let's see, how big is it? Let's be empirical here. Just measure this one in ram's horn. So we're 3.5 inches. So that's a reasonable size to have in your pocket. It's about 90 millimeters. So it's the size of a Swiss Army knife in length, but without some of the bulk. Although it's a twin blade knife, it's still quite thin, effectively a single layer knife, with just the single back spring. Now again, this has got the file work but not the milling. The thing though that I really like about these knives is that they're relatively easy to open, given the Wharncliffe blade. You've got a nice deep nail nick and a little bit of meat there, so I can open these without too much trouble. The smaller ones, I actually really quite struggle to get my nail in there and get them open. Now that's to do with my cack-handedness, not any fault with the knife, but because this one is just that bit easier to open, I like it. Now, while I've got this knife open, let's open it the rest of the way. Now, if you hold the knife up with the blade pointing upwards, holding the handle, you normally would expect, oh, I can't get a focus now, you'd expect the writing to be legible that way, but actually if you look, you discover that it's upside down. And if you want to see it properly, you have to turn the knife upside down, and it will focus eventually. Which is just a bit strange. Now this was pointed out to me by the chap that gave me this one. So I checked all of mine, and I thought, I wondered if it was just an aberration with this one, but I checked all of mine, and I discovered that most of them are the same. The only one that isn't is this one. Now I should say, all of the knives you've seen so far are Lee White knives. This one isn't. Unfortunately, I don't know who did make it. There are a number of potential culprits for who could have made it, but it could be Trevor Ablett, it could be Michael May, it could be Richard White, but it's probably one of those. But this one, the writing is the right way up, although I should also say that this one, it looks like it's etched rather than stamped. Now the etching actually is clearer, and so in some ways perhaps more attractive, but I'm a great one for stamps on these things. Now, so why am I showing you all of these today? Why have I dragged all these out? Well, the reason is because I did a trade with Congi's knife sales. I got rid of the bear, the tactile bear, which I really rather loathed, actually. I thought, I can't understand why anybody gets excited about that knife. It's so thin and it feels like a Mercator in your hand. And the fit and finish is a bit rubbish given the price, and the nail nick is the double nail nick is, I just don't understand it. It's not as effective as a single nail nick, but it's double the collection of fluff, so I don't know. Anyway, I traded it for this one, and again this one has the stamping, and it is, come on, focus, let me just try some. The writing is again upside down. There's not enough contrast in it, that's why it doesn't like to focus very well. That being said, this one is in a lovely bit of desert ironwood. This is the main dish of the day. I want to show you the other blade as well. So it also, as I say, has a pen blade, and again the writing is upside down. One day maybe I'll get to the bottom of it. It's unique to this pattern, but it seems to be common to this pattern. Because of the 5 I've got, 4 are done in this same way. Let me just put that there so I can get a nice picture for my thumbnail. So there we are. I really like this pattern. It's a great pattern to carry. It's so non-threatening in the UK world because the blade is very short. We're talking about 2 inches from the ricasso. We're talking about 1 5/8 cutting edge, so that's about 50 millimeters of 51 millimeters maybe of blade. Even if you add the two together, you barely reach the 3-inch mark. And so, sometimes I wonder, when they did these things, they said you can carry a pocket knife with a blade of up to 3 inches. Is it 3 inches in total, or 3 inches combining the blades? Is it one knife, or can you carry any number of knives of that size? All questions I'm interested to know the answer to, but I'm not keen to ask because I don't really want to find out. But yeah, here we've got about 3.5 inches if you add the two blades together. But I don't think we have any problem carrying that sort of thing. That's the sort of knife you could carry almost anywhere without any problem. I mean, there are, in this country, in the UK, there are certain places where knives are just not allowed, like hospitals, schools, things like that. But even certainly in the hospital, you get away with this. I took this one into the hospital to show my occupational therapist because she wanted to see it. So I didn't get the handcuffs on and huckled out. So this you can get away with. If you turned up with anything bigger, you might have more of a problem. Anyway, this one's lovely. Desert ironwood is great. I was really pleased to get a decent trade from Congi. I've done a few with him, and there'll be another one coming up shortly. In fact, another 2 coming up shortly, because of 3 I've traded off him of late, and that's fantastic. So thank you very much, Congi. Thank you very much to whoever traded this knife. If you like this stuff, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more, subscribe and remember to ring the bell. Thank you very much. Goodbye.